FBI office, New York, to FBI office, San Antonio. Madras diamond stolen last night. Thief believed to be on flight 6, Brownsville. Will probably attempt to cross into Mexico. Get Brownsville on the phone. That flight's due in a few minutes.
Right. Connect me with our office in Brownsville. Won't these guys ever learn that crime doesn't pay?
What do you mean it doesn't pay? You make a good living, don't you?
My sounds of distress aren't bothering you, but groaning seems to help.
Go right ahead and groan.
Thank you. Oh.
Feeling better, Mr. Grant?
I feel as if I'd recently been embalmed.
Well, you'll soon be on the ground. We're coming down at the border now.
How delightful. Unfortunately, I'm going all the way to Mexico City.
You'll have 5 minutes to rest during the customs inspection.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
You forgot to fasten your seatbelt.
Oh, that's very thoughtful of you. Thank you very much.
Really wasn't anything.
It was. It was priceless.
Priceless?
Yes. One thing in the world you can't buy is kindness. Oh.
Gentlemen, remain in the customs office. Ladies, through that door. Through that door. Remain in the customs office.
You'll have to stand in line here, please, sir.
I can't stand in any line. I'm sick, and I want to sit down.
I'm sorry, sir, but you'll have to stand in line. You've got to be searched.
This is a blasted nuisance. Look, can I get this thing over with?
You'll have to stand in line.
But I can't stand any place. I'm sick, and I would like to sit down. Would you look at me now, please, or would you rather take my word for it that I haven't got whatever it is you're after?
Better check it. Seems to be all right.
Thank you. Wait a minute. What have we got here?
Just a moment, please.
What's that?
That's what we're here to find out.
Now, how do you suppose that got into my pocket? I never saw it before.
Well,
Boy, look at that. Pretty cute, aren't you? Begging us to frisk you.
He had me fooled all right. He even looks sick.
I don't know where that thing came from.
You could have made an honest living as an actor.
I tell you, I don't know how it got into my pocket. This whole thing is an idiotic mistake. I'm Thomas Grant of the International Fidelity Bank.
Does the bank know what you've been doing in your spare time?
I'll show you my... That's why that girl was being so nice to me.
We're not interested in your romantic experiences.
Look here, if you're at all ambitious professionally, you might like to know you're making the greatest mistake of your career.
And you might like to know that you fit the description of the man we're looking for like a glove.
I do?
You do. About 35, good dresser, usually wears a flower in his buttonhole.
And how many men do you suppose there are in the country? About 35 who wear flowers in their buttonholes.
Quite a few, I suppose, but not many of them go around with diamonds that don't belong to them.
Come on.
All right, that's all.
Atención, los pasajeros del avión de la Pan American World Airways, procedente de Brownsville y Tampico, están llegando por la entrada número 2. Atención, los pasajeros del avión de la Pan American
I hope
World
you
Airways,
enjoyed that.
Oh, but of course your kisses are divine.
Were, Boris.
Oh, darling, I don't understand.
Listen, you heel. When you asked me to meet you in Mexico City, I thought you were in love with me.
But, darling, I adore you. I'm mad about you. I told you that many times.
But there's one thing you didn't tell me. What was in that little surprise package you wired me to bring down here?
You opened it?
Yes. There was a pretty good description of you in a Kansas City newspaper, and I got suspicious.
Now, look here, Angel. I hope you're not going to be fussy. After all, laws are made to be broken. And in a way, I did this for you, so we'd have enough money to be married.
Do you think I'd marry you now? I'd rather settle down with a black widow spider. Goodbye.
Wait a minute. Give me that package.
I haven't got it.
What did you do with it?
I got rid of it.
You got rid of it? How?
I dropped it in a man's pocket.
Who was it?
I don't know.
Listen, Angel. If you're trying to double-cross me, you'd better reconsider.
I've got a good notion to turn you over to the police.
Right. That would be very stupid. You're just as guilty as I am. You're what they call an accessory.
You dirty worm.
Skip the compliments. Let me turn my head. Let's get out of here. I have a few more questions to ask you.
Boris, would you get me some water? It was a rough flight. I feel faint.
I wouldn't like you to play any tricks like running away. So I'll take this with me.
It's 20 cents in silver you didn't take.
This way, please. This way, please. This way, please. Will they get in? Hey, Bud. Where to, Bud?
Anyway, but hurry up and get going.
Okay, Bud. I'll step in it. 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 Oh.
Take me into the main part of town, driver.
Okay, Bud. You tell me where you drop me.
Sure glad you speak English.
You know, I learned myself from tourists. Pick it up word for word. On purpose. Purpose. Purpose, purpose, purpose. You would never believe it, Bud, but I never been to the States. Not for once, not even twice.
I are amazed, chum. What nationality are you?
I'm an opera singer.
Oh, that accounts for the noises.
Used to be. Used to be used to be used to be used. Here we are in Mexico, the center of. Where do you want me to bring you now, Bud?
Bud, we'll leave that up to you. Pick me out a nightclub where they have a good, expensive floor show.
It's too early. The nightclubs doesn't open themselves up at the daytime.
I'm not going as a guest. I'm looking for a job as a dancer.
Okay, Bud. I'll bring you to all the warm spots where they dance, where they sing. La da da la la da da la 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 da la la da. I love you so much. I love you. No dices?
Not even craps. Say, don't they want anything this?
But, senorita, everybody likes it.
I guess it does make it simpler, doesn't it?
What about next, Bud?
Unless you know a hotel where they don't accept money, you better drop me off right here.
Okay, Bud. You owe us 44 pesos.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid you're in for an ugly surprise.
You think it out too much?
No.
All afternoon, I spend the entire time with you. The tires she used, the gas.
I don't doubt you've earned it.
I'll tell you which. To you, I'll make it 35 pesos.
If you made it 2 pesos, I couldn't pay you. I'm broke.
Huh?
Flat.
What?
No money.
No money. No money. No dinero.
No dinero.
But good.
All right, so you can call the police and get nothing. Or you can give me your name and address and trust me until I land a job.
Let me consult my head. The police. No good. The police cannot squeeze the turnip from your blood.
No.
And you can do that, no?
No.
Can't you do anything else for which the citizens will pay?
Where I come from, brother, the citizens pay just to look.
Can't you maybe sing?
I'm Tetrazzini in the bathtub.
Oh, come on, give in for me. Ah, la, 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 ra, 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 ram. La, ram. La, 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 ra, ra, ram. Ra, ra. Why didn't you tell me you can sing so wonderful, so beautiful? I'll tell you which I'll do. First, I'll take you to my brother-in-law, who works in a nightclub. And third, I'll get you a job singing.
First, you take me to your brother-in-law, and third, you get me a job. What happens second, Bud?
Second, as your manager, I'll get for you an advantage in salary. An advantage of exactly 44 pesos, which you will hand over to me.
Well, that doesn't leave very much for little luxuries such as food and a place to sleep.
Come on, we'll make hay before the sun shines. Caramba! Bravo! Bravo, bravissima, brava, bravissima, bravo! La 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 la. Oh, Condesa, you look like million pesos.
Thanks, but don't you think that Condesa angle is a little silly?
Of course not. It's showmanship. The title appeals to the snobs.
The what?
You know, the snobs.
Oh, snobs.
Oh, I have a terrific surprise for you. I have for you an advantage in salary. 50 pesos.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Just a moment. I'll take 5 pesos for myself as your manager.
Oh, that's all right.
Then you owe us 44 pesos for the taxi. So you get for yourself 1 peso.
Keep the change, Bud, as a tip.
Oh, no, thank you.
You're on, Condesa.
Oh, I hope they like me.
With you in this dress, they will eat us up. Yeah. Oh, mia mama. Oh.
Adios and farewell, my lover. It was so nice to know you. I'm afraid I got to know you much too well. Adios and farewell, my lover. I enjoyed every minute of the ride on our romantic carousel. You did ring the bell, my lover.
What will you have, Helen?
Oh, Tom, you always have to ask.
Sorry. The wife will have an old-fashioned made with Irish whiskey.
I'd like a double martini.
I thought you bullfighters had to keep in training.
What's the use of training? I weigh 160 pounds and the bull weighs 1,100. Long ago, I decided that the only way to defeat a bull is with my brain.
I'll have a sherry.
And now goodbye.
Should we order dinner now or wait?
Oh, let's wait. I might want another drink. Hardly your type, Manolo.
What?
I thought you preferred blondes with eyes the color of forget-me-nots.
Oh, you mean the girl? I was just admiring the song. I have never heard it sung that way before.
You mean you've never heard it sung in that form before? Personally, I think it's a stinking arrangement.
Dawn. Who's the singer? She's new here, isn't she?
Si, Senor Grant. We were very fortunate to secure her.
permit me to introduce yourself. I'm her manager. She's the Contessa de Costamora, fresh here in Mexico. She was hailed from Barcelona.
The Condesa de Costamora, eh? I believe I've met the Condesa.
Oh, you know her? Then I'll be running around. Excuse me.
It's very entertaining, but I'd like to say adios.
Adios.
What? No,
Oh, well, get out of here.
Well, we don't mind your encouraging her, but must you drool?
Next, we present your favorite dancer, Senor Rico Fenway.
Excuse me.
I think this is something you can manage better without a manager. I'll be seeing you.
I was afraid I'd find you out here.
I was afraid I might miss you.
I'm sorry about that business at the border, but I was in a tight spot. I was framed into carrying that diamond.
Oh, of course.
You don't believe me, do you?
No, I don't, Miss O'Reilly. Or should I call you Condesa?
I was afraid to give my real name.
Oh, I like the title. You managed to join one of the most distinguished families in Spain.
I wish you'd let me explain.
I'm not interested in your alibis, Condesa. However, you might be interested in knowing the authorities trailed you as far as the airport.
Okay, call the cops and get it over with.
I'm in no hurry to do that. As a matter of fact, I came back to invite you to join our party. I'd appreciate it very much, will you?
Why?
For the usual reason. There's a charming friend of mine inside who'd like to meet you.
Is this a gag?
No. But I think you'll find it to your advantage to accept the invitation.
Okay, what can I lose?
Very practical attitude. Where are you staying?
Well, I'd planned to stay here and sleep under the stove until I saw you.
Broke?
Oh, no, I've got 20 cents, but I want to hold on to that. I love the feeling of having a nest egg.
My dear, I'd like you to meet a friend of mine. Allow me to present my wife, the Condesa de Costamora, Mrs. Grant.
How do you do?
Hello.
And this is Manolo Segovia, Mexico's greatest matador.
No, not the greatest. There are others who are greater. Although everybody says that I'm the greatest.
And there's no use running yourself down.
I understand you just arrived in Mexico.
Yes.
Will you be here long?
Well, that all depends.
How much you like it?
Oh, I love it, but after all, one can't always have what one wants.
I am sure anyone as lovely as you can. Your slightest desire should be a command.
I wish the rest of the world felt the same way.
Who cares about the rest of the world? If there's anything you want while you're in Mexico, you have but to ask me. I will get it for you like this.
You must excuse Manolo, Condesa. He just won't learn that you can't use the same approach on a woman that you do on a bull.
I'm sure the bulls must receive some very charming treatment.
Oh, they do, but of course, finally, they always get it in the neck. There's a moral there somewhere if you care to look for it.
I'm quite sure morals have nothing to do with it.
Since you've joined the party, Condessa, perhaps we can offer you a drink.
No, thank you.
You really should take Manolo up on his offer, Condesa. You couldn't find a better guide to take you about.
Oh, I should be delighted to show you my country, Condesa. There's so much beauty. Have you seen Xochimilco?
No.
Oh, no? Oh, then you must. It is gorgeous. Hundreds of little islands covered with flowers. We will float by them in a gondola, drinking champagne and listening to music.
Is your husband with you, Condessa?
My husband?
Yes, the Conde.
Oh! Oh, the Conde. Well,
The Condesa hasn't seen her husband for some time, not since the war in Spain. He was reported missing.
Good. Oh, I mean, it's good that he was only missing and not injured.
If your husband was in the revolution, you must have been married for some time.
yes.
It's hard to believe. You look so young.
I was just a baby when I was married. The truant officer brought me to the wedding.
I hate to leave such witty company, but I really think we should be going, Tom. I don't like to drag you away, Manolo, but we did come in your car. Manolo, do you mind?
Huh? Oh, no, not at all.
Why don't you come with us, Condesa? You've done your last show, and Manolo would be only too glad to drop you by your hotel.
Oh, I should be delighted. I will drop you in Helen first and then drive the Condesa to her place.
Oh, I forgot. We came here to see Rico about the ballet, don't you remember? How stupid.
Oh, yes, so we did. But why don't you two run along? Condesa said she was tired, and we can get a cab.
Oh, but please don't bother.
Oh, but I assure you it's no bother.
Well, really, I can get a cab myself, and I wouldn't dream of taking you out of your way.
No matter where it is, it will not be out of my way.
By the way, where are you staying, Condesa?
Guess.
The El Paseo?
Right the first time.
Oh, but that is very near. Now I insist.
And if you want my advice, and I'm sure you do, you'll let him take you. It'll be convenient for you.
All right.
Ah, magnifico. Hey, good night, Tom.
Good night.
Charming girl, isn't she?
Horribly.
Hello, Rico. Wonderful show.
It was awful, and I could kill that orchestra leader. It's a good thing it's our last night.
Tell Helen about it, will you? I've got a phone call to make.
I have the most wonderful idea for the ballet. Jealousy. Everything in green.
Are you trying to be humorous?
Huh?
Good night.
I'll take you inside.
Oh, but really, that's not necessary. Good night.
Oh, but it is. If I left you out here in the street, I would worry about you.
Good night.
I'll get your key for you.
Oh, please don't bother.
It is no bother.
But it may not be there. I've forgotten what I did with it.
I'll see. Por favor, la llave de la señora Condesa de Costamora.
Sí, señor Segovia.
Gracias. Here it is.
Yes. Well, thank you very much.
I'll take you up to your door.
Oh, but really, I can manage that myself, Mr.
I wish you would call me Manolo. And I would never forgive myself if I didn't take you upstairs. If I left you out here in the lobby with all these strange men, I would worry about you. You know, some men would not be above making advances to a charming young woman like you.
That hardly seems possible. Now, if you'll give me the key, this is good night.
A ver, ¿qué número tiene esta llave? Así, 410, ¿no? Por acá. This way.
Thank you.
Allow me to unlock the door for you.
Good night.
Perhaps I can come in for a few minutes, yes? No.
No.
Oh, but just to open the windows and see that you are all right. If I don't,
I know. You'll worry about me. But if you start opening windows, then I'll worry about myself.
Very well,
Good
Condesa. Perhaps some other time?
Let's don't start out in high gear. It strains the motor. Good night. Manolo.
Good night. Condesa?
Whoever's in here, don't be alarmed. It's a mistake. I'm in the wrong room. Anybody here? Who is it?
Aquí está su equipaje, señora condesa.
Arrímate para acá, Roque. ¿Y esta dónde la quieres? Aquí de este lado.
What?
Your luggage, Countess.
My luggage? Oh, yes, of course. My luggage. Well, just leave it right there.
Muy bien, señora. Ya está todo bien, ¿verdad? Vámonos, vámonos. Vamos.
Yes.
Buenos días. ¿Habla la señora Condesa de Costamora?
Would you mind saying that again?
¿Habla la señora...
No, in English.
Is this the Countess de Costamora speaking?
No. Oh, yes, this is the Condesa.
Your chauffeur wishes to know if you will need him this morning.
My chauffeur wishes to know if I'll need him.
Sí, señora Condesa. He is waiting with the car in the front.
Well, just tell him to go on waiting.
Muy bien, señora Condesa.
Brother.
I come in? Good morning, Condesa. I trust the clothes are your size, and fitters will be along later to make any necessary alterations.
So you're the fairy godfather.
Well, I'd prefer a different description, but I did call the hotel last night and make a reservation for you, and I also provided the clothes and a car, which I hope you'll be good enough to accept. There should be a negligee in here. Here we are.
Well, your approach is new, I'll say that for you.
Please don't misunderstand. There's nothing personal in this.
Seems fairly personal to me.
Condesa, you're looking at a very unhappy man, and the cause of my unhappiness is Manolo Segovia.
It's fascinating, but I don't see what it has to do with me.
In a moment you will. My wife and I split up because of Manolo. She came down here and opened our house, so I was hoping I could patch things up before she went ahead with the divorce, but I didn't have much luck. In fact, I was ready to give up until last night when Manolo admired you so obviously. He couldn't take his eyes off you. I must say, I don't blame him. You're extremely attractive, Condesa. Extremely.
You're sure there's nothing personal in this?
What I mean is, if anyone could take Manolo away from Helen, you could.
Why don't you punch him in the nose?
That would merely make my wife look upon him as a martyr and upon me as a brute.
You're pretty smart, aren't you?
I'm pretty sure that violence isn't the solution. Besides, he might punch me back.
I'm sorry, but that's a little out of my line.
I'm sorry, too, because your beauty will be completely wasted in prison. I don't like to force you, but I want to save my marriage. It's embarrassing finding myself in a situation like this.
Embarrassing? You don't sound as if you cared very much for her.
I'm afraid she doesn't care very much for me.
Then why try to keep her?
Oh, before she got in with this crowd down here, she cared for me. Condesa, have you ever seen the International Set at play?
Mm-mm. I've only been here 2 days.
Well, you won't see them in the daytime. They're strictly a night flowering variety. Bunch of freaks and phonies with too much money sitting around in the local cantinas finding Mexico too quaint for words.
Any shoes to go with this outfit?
There should be some in there. That reminds me, if you're going to travel around with that menagerie, you'll need some spending money in addition to the clothes. Here are 1,000 pesos. If you need any more, just let me know.
Okay. What do I do first? Just sit here in my web and wait for Manolo to fly in?
My wife and I are going with him to the bullfights this afternoon. Here's a ticket for you. It's quite close to our seats, and I'm sure Manolo will want you to join us. By the way, do you know anything about bullfights?
The only bulls I know wear blue uniforms.
I was afraid of that. Here. Memorize this. It's a list of things the Condesa de Costamora would naturally know about bullfights. Paso usted.
Para la Condesa de Costamora.
Oh, thank you very much. Put them down here, will you?
Well, you didn't forget anything, did you?
The flowers? I didn't send them.
Gracias.
De nada. May I see who did?
Oh, please consider my life an open book.
Yours in low gear, Manolo Segovia. What does that mean?
Suppose it means Manolo is digging in for a long campaign.
Oh, that's excellent.
Manolo, un momento, por favor.
Wherever I go, it's the same. They love me.
Un momento, por favor.
Hola, ¿qué tal? I'm surprised there's such a crowd in an afternoon when I'm not fighting.
Perhaps they heard you were going to be here as a spectator.
Perhaps. That would explain the crowd.
Well, what a surprise. There's the Condesa. What a pity she couldn't sit with us. There's an extra seat.
Don't bother the poor girl. It's more trouble than it's worth to come down here through all those people.
Oh, I will take care of that. Señoras y señores, ¿tendrían la gentileza de hacerse a un lado para dejar pasar a la señorita?
Sí,
Gracias.
No ya de qué.
What did you do, touch them with a wand?
Oh, that will do anything for me.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Grant. It's so nice to see you again.
Imagine finding you so near us in a crowd like this.
Perhaps it is destiny that arranges such things.
Oh, no, I'm afraid it's nothing as romantic as that. It's merely my interest in bullfighting. I simply adore it.
You do? You went often in Spain?
Oh, all the time during the big season at Madrid. My favorite was El Gitano. He was so graceful.
Ah, he's all right.
And his quite so daring. With the muleta, it looked as though he were nailed to the ground.
I do it on my knees.
Of course, everyone knows there was never anyone like Rodolfo Gaona with the cape.
Oh, naturally, he is Mexican. You know, Condesa, the Spanish matadors are all right, but they're not to be compared with a Mexican.
Of course. I've heard that no one does the chiquilina like you.
The chiquilina's a favorite of mine.
Very few matadors will even attempt it.
It's unusual to find a woman so intelligent, isn't it? I mean, about bullfighting. What about the bulls?
The bulls? Well, the bull is important, of course. As for the bull, you can give me the Mura strain. Or perhaps the Duque...
The Veragua.
For bravery. For stamina, I like the Salamancas. The Salamancas.
Oh, the Mura is terrific. Once I fought one so beautifully that the ring was full of hats and even flowers.
Oh, which reminds me, I must thank you for those lovely flowers you sent me this morning. But please tell me more about your fight with the Mura.
Ah, it was a colossal fight. From the beginning, I mastered him with my veronicas. The first pair of banderillas was right in the neck.
Manolo!
Gracias. The audience demanded a second pair.
Manolo.
And I let him have 2 more in the neck. In the end, I brought him to the middle of the ring. And with the muleta, I passed him low and slow with the left. Again with the left. And then another left.
Then Helen left.
Oh, but...
I'm very sorry, but I don't feel very well. I have a perfectly dreadful headache. You will excuse me.
The fresh air, is it not good for your head?
The air is a little too fresh for me, but I wouldn't dream of spoiling your afternoon. You and the Condessa stay right where you are, and I'll just run along.
Magnifico.
Although I don't know how we're going to get through this crowd without you.
Oh, I would not think of letting you go alone. We will go with you, of course.
Thank you, Manolo. That's sweet of you. My dear, I feel a perfect killjoy. Don't think you have to go, too.
Oh, but I really don't mind.
Entonces vámonos todos, con permiso.
Senor, if you are going, may we occupy your seats?
Well, help yourself, but if I were you, I'd let that one cool off first.
I'm sorry, excuse me. Yeah, excuse
Sería Nacional. Aquí está el de la buena suerte. Está el de la buena suerte.
Excuse me, that car, do you know whose it is?
It belongs to Senor Thomas Grant.
Grant, eh?
See, a very thoughtful man.
In what way?
Because he takes the Condesa to the hotel in his car. Now I can go inside and see the fight.
The Condesa?
Si. The dark-haired young lady with him. She is the Condesa de Costa Mora.
And how do you know that?
I'm her chauffeur.
Say, just a minute. That Condesa, she's wealthy? I mean, she has enough money to pay you regularly?
Do I look hungry?
Oh, I must say you don't.
Condesa, why don't you join us at our place in Tasco for the weekend? Manolo will be there, and you two can resume your conversation about the Mura.
Well, but, Tom, you forget that the Condessa is a working girl. She can't very well leave her show.
Oh, but I'm not singing at the club anymore. You see, my manager didn't think I was getting the right billing.
Really? Then you can come.
Yes.
How jolly.
I would love to drive you down, Condesa.
Oh, thank you. It will be jolly.
Yes, it's beginning to sound jollier and jollier.
Haven't you heard anything from your husband since he was reported missing?
No. Not a thing.
That's too bad. Was he handsome?
As a matter of fact, it's been so long, I hardly remember him. Sometimes it seems as though he never even existed.
Oh, that's too bad, Condesa. You're like a beautiful flower that has never bloomed, that has never seen the sunlight.
I bet you tell that to all your victims.
Oh, Condesa, you're very cruel. You don't take me seriously.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I really think you're very nice. Now are you happy?
Nope. Because soon we will be at Senor Grant's place, and I won't have you to myself anymore. But why should we hurry to get there? We have all day ahead of us, and this is the perfect time to see Xochimilco.
Is it? Why?
Because it's in the other direction, and it will take a long, long time. I wish that you and I were alone on one of these little islands.
Don't you think that splitting an island between us would be a bit too cozy?
Oh, but I would love to be cozy with you. En mi vida, you are...
What gear are you in now?
Oh, I was thinking now that I know you better, I could go into second gear, yes? No.
You better stay in low until you've made the grade.
Oh, this place is so beautiful, so romantic. I should make love to you.
You were supposed to be my guide, remember? Tell me all about Xochimilco.
As you wish. Many years ago, Xochimilco was a lake. The natives who were too poor to own land tied trees and roots together and floated on little islands, growing their food right there. In time, the islands became anchored, and this is the result. Now, may I make love to you?
No.
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 Muchachos, aquí, un poco de música.
Bien, allá vamos.
Muchachos, ¿me harían el favor de cantar Noche de Ronda?
Con mucho gusto, jefe.
Noche de ronda, qué triste paso, qué triste cruza por mi barco.
Gee, that's pretty.
Como me duele, como lastima mi corazón. Luna que se quiebra sobre la niebla de mi soledad. ¿A dónde? Dime si esta noche tú te vas de ronda.
Claves para la señorita. Dile que la quiero, dile que me muero de tanto esperar. No son buenos, y hacen daño, que dan pena, que se dile que la quiero, dile que me muero de tanto esperar. La 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 la.
Welcome, Senor Segovia.
Hello, Jose. What's new?
Nothing is ever new here. The sun comes up, it goes down again. We sleep, wake up, eat, and sleep again. Day after day, nothing happens.
Let me help you carry them.
I'm afraid some of them have wilted.
Well, let's go back to Xochimilco and get some more.
Oh, no, Manolo, it's too late.
Oh, but I would love to keep you in fresh flowers for the rest of your life.
Send us a wire when you decide to come in.
Hello, you two. Oh,
I'm sorry we're so late. We didn't realize we were taking so long.
Oh, it's quite all right. We went ahead with dinner some time ago. We thought perhaps you might have had an accident. But, apparently the delay was intentional.
We stopped at Xochimilco. Manolo thought I shouldn't miss it.
Manolo did.
Yes, Manolo.
It all sounds frightfully romantic. Did he hire a marimba band and wish that you two were alone on one of the little islands? Perhaps it's cruel of me to give away his trade secret.
Condessa, would you like to eat now, or would you rather change first?
Oh, we had something on the way. At the cutest little cafe.
It's a good thing we waited dinner only an hour. Yeah, well, I put you in the east wing, and you in the west wing.
Never the twain shall meet. Shall I show you your way, Condessa?
Thank you.
That was a brilliant idea to stop at Xochimilco. Helen's been pacing the floor since 3 o'clock.
I noticed her claws were showing a little when we arrived. You have a lovely place here, Mr. Grant.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Used to be a monastery, 17th century, I believe. I had it converted into a home. Since my wife met Manolo, I've been seriously considering turning it back into a monastery.
Have you ever tried giving her the same treatment? You know there are women who would be flattered by a little attention from you.
Well, I'm afraid I wouldn't be very convincing as a Don Juan. See, I'm the reliable type, Condessa, and my wife knows it.
Is that bad?
I believe my wife would describe it as dull.
If you don't mind, I'd describe your wife as a little stupid. Apparently, she doesn't know when she's well off.
Thank you. You're restoring my self-confidence.
May I come in? Well, I do hope I'm not interrupting anything.
Oh, I was just showing the Condessa around. I'll be running along.
He's rather cute when he's embarrassed, isn't he, Condessa?
Yes, Mrs. Grant. He's rather cute.
I just came up to see if you needed anything.
No, thanks. I think I have everything.
I wouldn't say everything, Condessa. I'd call it standard equipment. I just think you use it a bit more recklessly than usual.
And you're suggesting that I should be a little more conservative?
Oh, not at all. The very obvious is frequently amusing. Well, as long as you don't need anything, I guess I'll just run along. Oh, by the way, since you are my guest, I feel I should warn you. Don't take Manolo too literally. He speaks English, but he thinks in Spanish. That's a very extravagant language.
I assure you, I don't believe half the things he says about you.
You're very droll, Condessa. Join us downstairs when you've fixed your face, will you? But don't do a complete job, because here in the country, we usually go to bed by 1 o'clock.
Toro,
Then I let him have horticinas, chicuelinas, fregolinas, and gauneras. Ah, the banderillas were superb. But during the last part of them, I was thrown over the barrera. Oh! Everybody thought that I was dead. But no. That only made me mad. I got back into the ring. I looked at the bull in the eye. I said to him, "Pig of a bull, I will kill you."
Oh, Condessa, you are lovely. Even more beautiful than my Victor.
Thank you, Manolo. You're very sweet. You'll have to forgive the way I look, Mrs. Grant. But I didn't want to take too long.
You look quite ravishing, Condessa. And very expensive. Naturally, you don't know most of these people, except Manolo. Enrico, of course.
Hi, Condessa.
That's Felipe Diaz, the famous Mexican artist. Senor Diaz, I want you to meet the Condessa de Costamora.
How do you do?
I'm doing very slowly. If there were fewer interruptions, I would be doing better.
Don't you think you've worked enough for tonight, Senor? Why don't you come down and join the party?
Senora Grant, you employed me to do a mural. I agreed to work for you, but I did not agree to amuse your zoo.
Isn't he delightfully rude? I love rude people. This is Irene Denny. She spent a great deal of time in Spain.
Mucho gusto, Condessa. I've heard so much about you from Lolly.
Lolly?
Why, yes.
The Marchesa de la Montaigne. She is a friend of yours, isn't she?
Oh, Lolly. But of course. For a moment, I didn't realize whom you meant. You see, I call her Shorty, and she calls me Bud, because I'm an American, you see.
Condesa, may I show you the aqueduct? It is lovely by moonlight.
Oh, Condesa, watch your step. The aqueduct is very high, and I'd hate to have you break your neck. It would make such a mess of the weekend.
Don't worry about me, Mrs. Grant. I'll be in very good hands.
I know. Salud. Y pesetas.
Y el tiempo para gastar.
In the moonlight, your eyes are like jewels.
This afternoon, they were like big violets. I'm a little confused.
Condesa, I am mad about you. Why do you continue to keep me at arm's length?
Well, a lady should have some head start, shouldn't she?
Oh, but you haven't so much as allowed me to kiss your hand.
Well, I suppose I have been a bit too hard on you.
Mi vida.
Aren't your ideas on anatomy a bit twisted? Weren't you talking about kissing my hand?
Pero mi vida, es que yo te quiero, te idolatro con locura. No puedo estar
But
sin
the
ti.
bull, the...
Excuse me for speaking in Spanish, but I feel it more. I am saying that I adore you.
Do you mind if I take time out to get my second wind?
Irene, are you sure Lolly knows the Condesa?
Of course she does. The Costamoros are a very old family. Lolly knows everybody who is anybody.
That's funny. When you mentioned Lolly, I don't think she had any idea who you were talking about. I don't think she's a countess any more than I am.
Condesa, you must believe me. How can I make you believe me?
It would be much better if you didn't try. Can't we keep this thing light and charming?
Is it still low gear for me?
It'll be reverse for you if you don't take it easy.
Second gear?
Second gear.
Helen's suspicious. She's telephoning your friend, Lolly, to ask a few questions about you. I think we're in for a bad time.
I better get out before I'm thrown out.
Well, oh, Condesa, why don't you sing a song for us?
Well, not now. All right. I'll get the boys.
I'll get them.
Keep on singing until I think of something.
Okay.
If you two extroverts will get out of the spotlight, I think I can prevail on the Condesa to sing for us.
That's love. You lose your will. That's love. The rapture and the pain, the bitter-sweet refrain, that inward glow. It's always so, and then you won.
You don't say. Really? The idea. Is she really? Well, thank you, Lolly. That's just what I wanted to know. Hmm? Oh, yes, we must. Do. Let's have lunch. Goodbye, darling.
What did she say?
Exactly what I thought.
She's not the Condesa?
The Condesa is middle-aged, about 50. As much as I'd like to believe it, I don't think the young lady we're entertaining is 50.
Well, you never can tell about ages nowadays. You know, the way women go to beauty parlors.
Oh, don't be a fool, Tom. Besides, you've been gullible enough falling for this line. This is going to be the most enjoyable moment I've had since this girl showed up.
Oh, it's wonderful. I wouldn't have missed it for anything in the world. It's going to be the most deliciously embarrassing weekend.
Now, wait a minute, Helen. You can't make accusations like this just on the strength of some gossip. There may be a lawsuit.
I'd love a good lawsuit.
Oh, darling, don't blow it all at once. Make a nice, big, juicy scene of it. Ask her a few questions. Let her trip herself off.
Don't worry. I want to see her squirm much more than you do.
Good.
That's love.
Bravo! Bravo! Oh, Condesa, that was lovely. You must sing another song.
A ver, muchachos, otra canción de amor que...
Would you play the same thing, please, again in begin tempo? Come on, Rico, dance with me.
Why? I was just thrown off the floor.
Don't ask any questions. This is an emergency.
What'll we do?
Do what you were doing. I'll follow.
Okay. Say, Condesa, you're pretty good. How'd you like to be my dancing partner?
You kidding?
Helen checked up on you and found you were 50 years old.
Ooh. No wonder I feel so tired.
It's no laughing matter. Keep out of her way. Helen, you can't do a thing like this publicly.
I wouldn't dream of doing it any other way.
I think I'll take you up on that offer.
Oh, Condesa.
Oh, Condesa, Lolly told me she spent a delightful summer at your villa at Valencia.
Yes, she did.
Valencia? I thought the villa was in Barcelona.
Well, the townhouse is in Barcelona. The villa is in Valencia.
Oh, I see. Lolly told me the Condesa was still in Spain.
We'll ask her when she left.
Oh, Condesa. Oh, Condesa, when did you leave Spain?
Oh, years ago.
I don't see why you don't let her have it right between the eyes.
Don't worry.
Helen, you're behaving ridiculously. I forbid you to do this.
You forbid. That's enough. I hate to interrupt such delightful entertainment, but I have something which may entertain you even more. As you know, we have with us a very distinguished guest. One claiming
First they told me you were missing, and then I was convinced you were dead.
But I'm not. Really, I'm not.
No, I guess you're not.
This is my wife, Conde.
Oh, charms. Oh, charms, senor. I hope you will pardon my intrusion. But when I heard my wife was here, I simply flew to your door.
Oh, we're delighted to have you. How very dramatic for you to appear after everyone thought you were dead. You must tell us how it happened.
Well,
You were imprisoned, I suppose.
Oh, yes. First by one side and then by the other. You can imagine the confusion. Finally, I escaped. Always I had just one idea in mind. To find my darling wife.
Oh, Conde, there's someone I want you to... There's someone I want you to meet. Manolo Segovia. You two have so much in common.
How do you do?
Good evening.
Oh, chilly tonight, isn't it? Very.
Now that you're here, you will stay with us for a while, I hope.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, we haven't a spare room, but I imagine you'll be more than glad to share your wife's.
Oh, certainly.
Oh, but we've always had separate rooms. You see, my husband suffers terribly from insomnia.
Oh, an ailment I have overcome, darling. During my imprisonment, I learned to sleep under all conditions.
Then you won't mind being in the same room.
Not in the least.
Will you come with me?
Oh,
Fine
darling.
mess I made of things if I'd listened to you.
To me? Why, it was your idea.
But you did encourage me.
You're such a cat.
Oh.
Okay. What are you doing here?
What are you doing here?
It's none of your business.
I happen to think it is. After all, aren't you my darling wife?
Stop that.
I don't blame you for being angry. I'm sorry about the way I treated you that day at the airport. And I apologize.
That's very sweet of you.
You see, I found out that you were telling the truth about the diamond. But it was your fault that I lost it. For that, you owe me something.
Just what are you getting at?
Well, I have a project in mind in Havana, and in order to carry it through, I need the help of a beautiful woman. You're living with me in the morning.
Do you think I'd help you with any more of your projects?
Oh, come now. Never mind the outraged virgin. We are both grown up.
Perhaps you'll understand things a little better when I tell you that the very sight of you nauseates me. And I have no intention of going with you anywhere at any time.
Oh. In that case, I'll have to stay here and try to change your mind. It's very comfortable. It might be quite interesting to discover what's behind your little masquerade.
Boris, won't you please go away and leave me alone?
No.
Getting late.
I think I'll go to bed.
Just a moment. I'm sleeping in there. You may have the couch.
Oh, you're quite wrong. I am occupying the bed.
Gallant, aren't you?
Perhaps we might work something out.
No, thanks. You may have the sitting room, Condé. Oh. Who is it?
Tom Grant. I just wanted to know if you were all right.
Yes, I locked myself in.
What does he want?
He wants me to go away with him, but I told him I was through.
Good. You sure you'll be all right?
Yes, I think so.
If you need any help, just knock on the wall. I'm in the next room.
Thank you.
Don't worry. I'll think of a way to get rid of him in the morning. Good night.
Good night. Oh, Mr. Grant, I want to thank you for the way you stood by me tonight.
After all, I got you into this. I couldn't very well desert you when the going got tough.
You know, you're quite a change from the men I knew in the past.
Thank you. Don't forget to knock on the wall if you need me.
Still watching the Condessa's window? Poor boy, I feel very sorry for him. It must have been an awful blow to have the husband show up just when you were about to step into his shoes.
Oh, she cares nothing for him. It makes no difference whether he's here or in Africa.
No?
No.
Good morning. You're late.
Heavens, what are you doing?
Cooking. You hungry?
But why? Don't you know there's an untold number of servants in the house? Surely you
Yes, I know. But the untold number of servants are at the moment trying to be ballet dancers. You see, your wife decided that the thing wasn't big enough.
Right foot, left foot, your right foot.
Oh, Rico, Jose hasn't got his foot up high enough. Up.
Would you please raise your right foot? That's wonderful. Now your left foot.
But then I would be sitting down.
Good morning, Manolo. Well, you certainly look domesticated. If your next bull could see you now, he'd probably laugh himself to death.
Bulls are not in the habit of laughing at me.
I better warn you that everyone is a bit touchy this morning. It seems that the bells kept them all awake.
Everyone but you.
Manolo resents the fact that they didn't even bother me.
Manolo!
¿Qué caray esta mujer me trae?
Un momento.
Please go break that rehearsal up before these eggs are ruined.
Gladly.
Manolo.
Helen, will you break it up? Breakfast is ready.
Has he changed a great deal?
Who?
Your husband.
Oh, no.
Oh, but after so many years, naturally things would not be the same, would they?
No, they aren't.
Magnifico.
Manolo! Manolo, darling, every time we need you, you're... What have you been doing anyway?
Cooking.
Well, really, Manolo, anyone would think you didn't have decent food here.
Manolo and the condenser fix breakfast.
Manolo, if you can tear yourself away from those eggs, I will explain what you do tonight. You're a Republican general.
Helen, I've told you that I'm a bullfighter, not a dancer.
Oh, that's all right, Manola. Just pretend she's a bull and make your usual passes.
Really, Manolo, I do think you might help me for a few minutes. This ballet is a little more important than your appetite.
From your viewpoint, perhaps. For mine, no.
Good morning, Mrs. Grant.
Oh, Conde, I'm so glad you're up. Do take your wife off my hands for a few minutes. I need Manolo's help so badly.
I'm afraid, Senora, we must both leave. I have just received this cable. Dolores is very ill. Dolores is our little girl. She has been staying with a cousin of mine in Havana.
Oh, but I didn't know you had a little girl.
Oh, indeed we have, Senora. Although I hadn't seen her for years, I knew her instantly. You see, she has her mother's eyes and my profile.
Oh, how charming.
Indeed. But she's ill. Terribly ill. She has the measles.
Oh, I had the measles.
Oh, but she has the kind that turn in. And if we leave now, we'll just be in time to catch the Havana plane.
But isn't this rather short notice?
Oh, but darling, this is an emergency. I'll help you pack immediately.
Why be alarmed? All children have measles sooner or later. It's a very trivial matter.
Oh, I cannot regard the life of my child as a trivial matter, senor.
Well, naturally not.
Don't you think it's rather silly to rush away like this? Perhaps she's better. Maybe we could telephone her and find out how she is.
No, we must go without delay. We have just time to catch the plane. Goodbye.
I think the Condesa is right. Why not telephone? The crisis may be over.
This does not concern you, senor. Come along, dear.
Take your hands off your wife.
I beg your pardon?
We're not living in the Dark Ages. A woman has some rights, especially a mother.
What?
Yes, and if the Condesa wishes to telephone to find out how her child is, she's going to do so.
I'm warning you not to interfere.
Now, don't
Conmigo
get
tampoco
excited,
se meta
Conde.
así,
Now,
que te
don't
figura.
get excited. The Condesa is right. The sensible thing to do is to telephone and inquire about the child. You can use the phone in the library. Come along.
Operator, I'd like to talk to Havana.
Un momento, señorita. Yes? Yes? You wish to call Havana 22357? It's an emergency.
They're putting it right through. Hello? Hello? Yes. Cousin Maria? How is my dear little Dolores? Oh, she's better? Oh, that's wonderful. She's all right. The doctor's been there and says she's past the crisis. May I speak to her? Oh, good. Hello? Hello, darling. This is your mummy, dear. How is my baby? Oh, you're feeling better? Isn't that wonderful? Your daddy is here. Would you like to talk to him? You would?
Just a minute. She'd like to talk to you.
Hello.
Hello, Daddy Mans. This is your itsy-bitsy Duoa speaking. Yes, I'm much better, thank you. Yes, the spots have all gone, and I'm eating ice cream, spumoni.
With nuts.
Goody.
Well, that's fine. I'm certainly glad to hear that you're all right. What? Yeah, of course I love you.
Condesa, I am glad that the baby's all right, and I'm very, very glad that you're staying with us.
May I remind you, senor, that I am the lady's husband?
That is something I would like to forget.
Well, personally, I wouldn't trust the telephone. It might have been the wrong number. Then, of course, it's not my child. Shall we get back to the rehearsal? Come on, everyone.
It was a neat trick if it had worked. It's no use, Boris. Why don't you go away?
No.
Suit yourself.
Hello, Daddy Mans.
Oh, Conde, do be a lamb and help me out. Tom just cannot dance, and I'm sure you're divine. It's really very simple. You do waltz, don't you?
I'm certain anyone could waltz with you, Mrs. Grant.
Oh, isn't he sweet, Irene?
Mrs. Denny was trying to explain to me the story of the ballet.
Oh, but I did. I told him how you threatened to leave Tom, so he gave you a divine necklace.
Come along, Conde, and replace my husband. Irene will only confuse you. I shall probably take it to New York if I'm a success in it tonight. I'm merely using the necklace to symbolize freedom during several periods in the history of Mexico.
Freedom is a very elusive thing.
In the ballet, it finally disappears with everyone still seeking it.
How fascinating.
Isn't it?
Your husband seemed very much worried about your child this morning.
Yes.
Well, that's a natural thing. Even animals are fond of their young. Snakes take good care of their babies.
Just what are you getting at?
That you should not give him too much credit just because he was concerned. Boss, that means nothing.
You're so right. His performance doesn't entitle him to any medals.
Exactly. Everybody's fond of children. I'm fond of them. I love them, and they love me. Condesa, you have been separated from your husband so many years. You don't love him anymore. So why remain tied to him?
Are you asking me to marry you?
Yes.
I thought that marriage was a little out of your line.
Oh, but I want to marry you. I'd be miserable without you.
You're very sweet, Manolo.
Does that mean yes?
I'm afraid it means that I'll need a little time to think it over.
Oh. Are you thinking of your husband?
No.
Then what else is there to think about?
You'd be surprised, Manolo. You really would.
Sorry to interrupt you two, but Helen's about to organize a search party. It seems, Manolo, the time has come for you to make an entrance and snatch the necklace of freedom from the throat of oppression. Charming idea, isn't it?
Ah, que caray, todo esto me parece una estupidez de su esposa. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I forgot you speak my language. Excuse me, Condesa.
Good luck. You're a remarkable person, Condesa. Manolo just said my wife was acting like a fool. He'll be asking you to marry him next.
He just did.
Congratulations. Nobody ever got him to that point before.
Thank you. What am I supposed to do now?
Under the circumstances, I think it would be a very snug harbor for you.
Mr. Grant, I'm not looking for a snug harbor. I'm not a diamond thief. What I told you that night about being framed was the truth.
I'm glad to hear that.
I was working in a nightclub in New York when I met Boris. He told me he was in the oil business. He seemed to have money, he was handsome, and he was awfully nice to me. So, when he asked me to marry him, I accepted. Then he had to come down to Mexico. He wired me to pick up a package for him and bring it down.
But I didn't know there was a diamond in it.
Oh, I'm sure you didn't. You're such a nice person, I couldn't understand your being a thief. I'm sorry for some of the things I've said.
It's all right.
You really should consider Manolo seriously. He's rich, glamorous. He's madly in love with you.
But I'm not madly in love with him.
You weren't madly in love with Boris, were you?
No. But at the time, I didn't believe in love.
What changed you?
You did. You see, I always thought that men were made to take advantage of women. But you're different. You've been so unselfish and decent about your wife. You really think a lot of it, don't you?
I don't think marriage should be tampered with. It should be permanent, otherwise it just isn't practical.
And you think that I should be practical and accept Manolo?
Well, even though it would solve my problem, I wouldn't want you to go through with it unless you think it's right for you.
But he happens to think I'm married.
There are ways of persuading Boris to leave, and you can go through the motions of getting a divorce and let the wedding bells ring out.
It's very simple, isn't it?
In that case, I'll see Boris and arrange to make you a widow.
Okay, that's your final position.
Oh, Conde, you look divine. Yeah, here, Tom, you hold this.
Conde, I'd like to speak to you for a moment, please.
Tom, go away now. We're busy.
I'm sorry, Irene, but I must insist.
Excuse me, will you?
You like it here, Conde?
Very much.
I presume there are other places you'd rather be.
Are you asking me to go, senor?
In a word, yes.
Well, I need more than a word to answer. I have no intention of going just yet.
Conde, I'm not unfamiliar with your past, and I doubt very much if you'd want the authorities to know where you are.
I doubt very much if you'd tell them. You see, I won't pretend that I know what you and the Condesa are up to. But I know that you don't want her involved in a scandal. No, senor, if you wish to see the last of me, you'll have to make it worth my while.
How much worth your while?
Well, I don't mind traveling, but I always travel first class.
Naturally, I wouldn't expect a count to travel any other way. Should we say $5,000?
Apparently you misunderstood. I'm traveling a long way.
That was merely my opening offer. I'm prepared to go as high as $10,000.
Oh, but you forget there are many incidentals when traveling, such as magazines, postcards, drinks.
What do you think you'd require for your magazines and postcards?
I think that $15,000 might cover it.
Let's say $12,000.
14.
$12,500 is my limit.
Very well, I'll take it.
Good.
But I want it in cash before I leave.
You shall have it tonight.
Would I be exposing my ignorance if I asked just what the ballet is about?
Oh, it's very simple. The last time Helen threatened to leave Tom, he gave her a fabulously valuable necklace. Helen composed the ballet around the necklace so that she could show it all.
Oh, don't pay any attention to Irene. It's about an artist who paints a mural showing the history of Mexico. Only nobody knows what he's painting. It opens with a guide guiding some tourists around, but he can't explain what the mural's about either. So the rest of the ballet explains what the mural's about.
Oh, I see.
Oh, that's just what I was saying. Isn't it gorgeous? Look at it. How could Helen find a better way to show off a necklace? Darling, I have to try it on.
Will somebody please find Tom and tell him to hurry? Irene! Irene! Oh, where's she gone?
After Tom.
Well, find Manolo and tell him to go after him.
Send him after the champagne.
But we can't start without Tom. He has the necklace.
I'll find it.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you're in costume. You're in costume. Really, Tom, I should think tonight of all nights you might have some consideration for my feelings.
Oh, I'm sorry, Helen, but Irene insisted upon trying it on.
Irene, really? Must you be so irritating?
But, darling, I only want to put it on for a minute.
Will somebody get this thing off her?
Permit me.
I'm so nervous now I'll never be able to dance.
Whatever made you think you could?
Now look what you've done.
Leave her alone. She'll be all right. Leave her alone.
Are you interested in diamonds, Conde?
Why, yes, they're a hobby of mine.
Mine, too. Montezuma.
Places, everybody. Places.
besar tus manos, tus ojos, tu boquita.
It sounds lovely, but what does it mean?
It means that...
It means that it's time for you to go and get your clothes on, Manola. Now run along.
Pero, Mrs.
Well, hurry up, hurry up. Here, dear.
Oh, Conde.
Yes?
There you are. I'm terribly sorry to hear you have to leave us.
You're a perfect host, Senor Grant, but I'm afraid I must go. Business, you know.
Well, if you must, you must. And you must.
Senor?
You understand, of course, I expect you to disappear completely and permanently.
That's exactly my intention. As soon as my performance is over. If you'll excuse me, I get into my beard.
Well, hurry, hurry, Consuelo. Goodness, you have all day to make a change of this kind?
Si, senora.
Hook up this road now.
Si, senora. Calma,
Calm, calm. Don't you tell me to be calm. After all, a dancer has to be temperamental. Where are the shoes?
Aquí están.
Oh, you never think of that. Where are they? That's the wrong shoe. Well, hurry. Goodness. Who is it?
Oh, Senora Grant, I didn't know you were here.
Don't you think you should knock before coming into a lady's dressing room?
I'm very sorry, but to be quite frank, I was looking for you.
Oh?
To tell you that you were exquisite. It is most unusual to find a beautiful woman so talented.
Why, you say the nicest things, Conde.
You don't think that is the real reason for my being here, do you?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, calm now.
Yes?
You're a sensitive person. You certainly must have been aware of how I felt about you.
How do you feel about me?
I think you are the most charming woman I have ever met. I am a simple man, Senora Grant, a very simple man. And when I have something in my heart, I have to express it. I am mad about you.
Really? What about the Condessa?
I am a man.
So you are. You know, Conde, I think I like you.
You do? Oh, hello, my dear. I was just congratulating Senora Grant on her performance.
I think she should be congratulating you.
You're pretty again.
Oh, if you'll excuse me, I'll get into my beard. Pardon me.
I hope you're not going to misinterpret my kissing your husband, Condessa. I want you to know my motives were the worst.
I'm sure of that.
But then I don't suppose you really mind. You're so wrapped up in Manolo.
You can have Manolo, Mrs. Grant. I'm giving him back to you.
How generous of you. When did you decide that?
Just now. You have no morals, Mrs. Grant, and the sooner your husband realizes it, the better.
I'll thank you to keep out of my business. You've been in it quite enough already.
But it is my business. You see, your husband wanted to pick up the pieces of his marriage. And he asked me to help him.
Do you mean you've been running after Manolo because of Tom? This was his idea?
That's right. But I just realized it wouldn't do any good to take any man away from you. You'll always find another one.
How flattering. Do you think so?
Losing you would be the greatest break of his life. So, I'm going to pull out and leave you to your shabby little intrigues.
How melodramatic.
Put them there. Don't bother to mention anybody that I've left. I hate goodbyes. You understand?
Si. You wish to be as quiet as a rat.
As a mouse, you mean?
No, senor. It has been my observation that rats are even more quiet than mice. Oh, no, thank you, senor. It is not necessary.
Ford!
Oh, but...
Wait, I'm going with you.
Why?
Call it change of heart.
All right.
All right, places, everybody, places. Get Helen, Irene.
Hurry, Santa, darling. You look absolutely devastated.
My necklace is gone.
Oh, well, you can use my pearls if you like.
I didn't plan stand this ballet to show off your pearls?
Oh, you needn't be so mean about it. I was
Who had
going to
it
try to
last?
help.
I know who had it last, and I have a very good idea who has it now.
Will somebody turn this platform? We can't stay out there forever.
Helen's lost her necklace.
Well, tell them there's an intermission so we can find it.
Helen, think, don't you have any idea where it is?
Well, your friend, the Condessa, was in my dressing room just a few minutes ago.
Oh, how very exciting. Do you suppose she took it?
Oh, but how ridiculous to say such a thing. I will find the Condessa.
The Condessa just left with the Conde.
Left?
The Conde, he's Maximilian.
Are you sure, Jose?
What positive?
Oh, then he forced her to go. He can't do this to me.
Manolo, come back here. Oh, this is madness.
This is what I get for working with amateurs.
Don't you call me an amateur, you. Oh! Ah! You amateur?
Condesa couldn't be mixed up in anything like this.
No. Just before she left, she told me about the last little mix-up. The one with Manolo. Really, Tom, it seems to me you could find a better way to hold a wife.
Oh, do be more specific, dear. What are you driving at?
Oh, shut up. Inviting a lot of jewel thieves to my home and absolutely ruining my ballet. You picked a wonderful way to hold me.
Well, Helen,
But it isn't going to work. Is that quite clear? I'm going through with the divorce. I found living with you very, very dull for some time, Tom. Dull and stupid.
Oh, darling, how awful for you.
Yes, I guess I am stupid to try and hold on to you when you feel this way, Helen. The strange part about it is I don't care as much as I thought I would. Guess I'm developing calluses on my emotions.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. I really am. I'm very sorry.
So am I, Helen. It's too bad.
Well, don't just stand there. Go and tell them there won't be any more ballet.
How perfectly beastly for you, darling. Losing a husband, an admirer, and a necklace all in one weekend.
You open your mouth again, you're going to lose all your teeth all in 1 minute. Oh, get out! Oh, get out away from me! Oh!
You still haven't told me why you have decided to come along.
It's the gypsy in me.
Oh, I see. I take it that you have overcome your fussiness and that we'll be partners.
You take it wrong. As far as I'm concerned, you're just a ride into Mexico City.
You may as well join me and have some of the benefits. You're an accessory again.
But that belongs to Mrs. Grant.
It did.
Look, stop this car. I'm walking from here.
Don't be ridiculous.
You'll never get away with it. They'll be waiting to pick you up in the city.
I think not. This is one project without any risk. Senor Grant was willing to pay me a large amount of money to disappear. And I doubt if he'll call me back even to get this necklace.
Those headlights look as though someone wanted you back.
We'll see how fast they can go.
I warned you this morning that we were not living in the Dark Ages. One does not carry one's wife around like a suitcase.
And I warn you, senor, not to interfere with something that did not concern you.
I'm taking the Condesa back to the
You
house.
are not.
Step aside. You make a very bad bull, Conde. You don't charge straight.
No, eh?
No. Come, Condesa.
While you're at it, I wish you'd get the necklace out of his right-hand pocket.
The necklace. Please, senor.
I make it a rule never to argue in a sitting position.
I have a few unpleasant things to tell you, Manolo. In the first place, I'm not a real countess.
You're not?
I'm not married to the Conde.
That's wonderful. Then we can get married at once.
No, Manolo. I'm not in love with you. I'm very fond of you. But I've never been in love with you.
Oh, but that's impossible.
I know it must hurt your ego. And I'm sorry, but if you would just be patient with me for a few minutes, I'll tell you the whole story.
Such a valuable necklace should be watched more carefully.
How did you get it?
Oh, I followed them. And the Condesa had nothing to do with the theft. She was riding into the city with the Conde, and on her way she found out that he had the necklace.
But I don't understand. Why was she leaving?
Because she's in love with you.
With me? How do you know?
I'm an expert on the subject, Tom. When a woman slips, parts slightly, when her breath quickens, and in her eyes there is a glimpse of heaven, then that woman is in love.
If that happened when she was with you, then it's you she loves.
Yeah, she was with me, senor. But speaking of you...
Really? Well, I've got to do something. I'm sure Helen will call the police, and when they pick up Boris, they'll take her, too.
Oh, don't worry. I brought her back with me.
You did? You did?
Yes, she just went upstairs to her room.
She did?
Unless you want me to carry you upstairs, there's nothing more I can do.
No, thanks. You've done enough.
Hello.
Hello.
It's been such a wonderful weekend. I'll hate to go back to the city tomorrow.
Why don't you drive back with me, senorita?
Well,
Have you ever been to Xochimilco?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, then you must. It's wonderful. We will float by the little islands in a gondola, drinking champagne and listening to music.
It sounds wonderful, Senor Segovia.
And I wish you would call me Manolo.